Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here, simply welcome. My name is Angel, aka the Angelic Muse. I am an intuitive tarot reader. I am a Reiki practitioner, and I am back today with another pick a card. So in today's reading, we're going to be focusing on love and relationships. So I pulled a few cards for each pile. I'm going to be focusing on the current energy on you both end, as well as a collective. As well as any advice that needs to be heard at this time. Now we have 3 piles to choose from here. You have, for your first pile, the rose quartz crystal. For your second pile, I told y'all I don't really know crystals like that, so I'm really guessing on this one. I think it's Jade Egg. It looks like it. So Jade Egg is for your second crystal. And then for your third one, you have Angel or Quartz. So as always, your timestamps will be down below, as well as all of the decks that I am using and all my links where you can book me for a personal intuitive tarot reading session or a distance Reiki session. My website's down below, but it is www.theangelicmuse.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram on my handle at theangelicmuse, just simply the same. So whether you choose one or none, when it comes to this reading, your intuition will let you know whether or not this is for you or not. But you can take a second if you want to pause the video in order to meditate on your pile, and so that you're able to choose better. And like I said below, all timestamps will be down below. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey, pile 1. So if you chose the pink rose quartz, here is your reading. So I'm going to start out with your tail first. So representing your energy, we have the Temperance card. Representing your partner's energy, we have the 7 of Wands. Representing the current energy of the relationship, we have the Devil card in reverse. And then representing your the current advice for your relationship, we have the High Priestess. Now, I did pull a few Oracle in Lenormand that I'm going to set up as well, just so that you have like a better picture or view of the spread. So complementing your energy, we have the Fish represented by the number 34 in the Lenormand. And then for your partner's energy, they have the number 19 represented by the Tower in the Lenormand. Now I pulled a lesson card that would focus on the lesson that you're supposed to be receiving in this current energy, which is guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. And then to complement your High Priestess advice card, we have Imam Coli with the root represented by the number 38. And then Sky Dancers Surrender represented by the number 48. So now that I've spread all the cards out, I'm just going to take them off by sections here. I want to focus my energy up here between you and your partner, and just focus on that. So with you having the Temperance card representing your current energy, I feel like you're very, the word alchemizing came to me. I feel like you're very go with the flow. You're able to adapt to pretty much any situation. You don't seem like the type who is afraid to dive into your emotions and actually experiment with them. I feel like you're that way with yourself as well as your partner. Even here with this Fish card, represented by the number 34. I'm going to read that out of the Lenormand, but just the fact that here in the Temperance card, the angel has their foot in the water, and then this is dealing with water. I feel like you're very in tune with your emotions, and then you also have the ability to be around different types of energies, personalities. You're very adaptable and flexible when it comes to this, and it definitely benefits you in terms of this relationship, especially with your partner having this defensive 7 of Wands energy represented by the Tower. Their energy is just giving me like this walled off, and this is no slight to your partner. It's just, I'm just reading the cards as they are. I get like a really walled off and defensive energy, and the thing about it is that they even have this Tower card, which kind of reminds me of the Tower card in tarot, except for this one standing, and it's a lot bigger. And the way the way towers start out, they don't start out big. They start out small. You get the materials, and you actually build these things. So I'm feeling like this energy. This is a huge wall or defense mechanism that your partner has built up, and it's causing some sort of obstacle and blockage within the relationship. They're not utilizing the like, okay, so for the wands here that they're backing themselves off from, there's actually a lesson in there that they're supposed to be learning, and they could actually, it could benefit the relationship and the dynamic of it in itself, to where they're able to grow and learn and actually knock some of this down. Like the tower, theirs is not struck by lightning at all. It's doing just fine. It's very stable, and it doesn't seem to be moving. However, there's so much greenery like out here, but it's not really noticeable because all you can focus on is here. So, and not only that, but there's a lot of she's wearing green, whether your partner is male or female or not, it doesn't matter. But the energy here is wearing green, and it just gives off. Now, on one hand, green represents abundance, but on the other, it can represent like envy. And it's like they're so consumed by, I mean, they could be comparing themselves to others, what they do or don't have. They could have been through a few tumultuous or trying relationships, and then they're trying here with you, but or maybe your relationship has been strained in a bit, and they're just not willing to let it go. But I'm seeing here two very polarizing energies. They're two so opposite each other. Um, However, I see here that you're still just trying to make it work. The fish here also represent could represent pregnancy or some sort, or maybe you want to build a life, you want children with this person, you want a family, you want all these things, but you're not able to attain that because of the walls and constructs they have built up to isolate themselves from the rest of the world or you or certain parts of themselves. So let me read the Lenormand here. That yours is the number 34, represented by I think that's fish. I haven't read this book in a while, or pulled these cards in a while, so I could be a little rusty. So it is fish, not the sea or anything. Sometimes they'll do that, like it'll be water, but it's so many fish. So it says, the fish of the Lenormand symbolizes resources and money. The three fish here in the blue depths show that we can dive deep together in food and abundance. In some traditions, the card also symbolizes wealth. This card teaches us to make the most of the resources that we possess, and in modern parlance, it means speculate to accumulate, or making a little go a long way. So yeah, shooting it, even with the making a little go a long way, maybe there are times where you find yourself alchemizing and trying to make it work, these two opposite things work, and you feel like you're kind of left with like maybe you're grasping for straws trying to do it because it's such a defensive energy, and you're working against it, and essentially when you're supposed to be working with it. But I do see here with this devil in reverse energy representing the current energy of it. Oh wait, let me go back. Let me read your partners before I get into the current energy, because I feel like it is a difference here. So let me read their tower first before I go ahead of myself. Sorry about that. So it says, unlike the tower in tarot, the Lenormand is symbolic of a structure that offers protection and security. In the game of hope, it is a watchtower built on high ground for surveillance over the countryside beyond. In current times, it may relate to border control or control of passage to a city. As such, they have multiple meanings, ranging from authority to education to places of power and legal dealings. So, pretty much, this tower is a protection tower. They're saying it's different from the one in the tarot, but for some reason, it still reminds me of it. Like it's still a sort of protection. It's a false sense of security and protection, because the one in tarot is essentially broken down because it's not built. But this one's going strong. But I feel like it's only going strong because it hasn't been explored fully. Like, towers are huge. Like, they have so many rooms, so many doors, so many windows, so many ways in, so many ways out. So I feel like your partner here being stuck in this energy, in this big ass castle or tower that they don't even know how to fully operate or walk around in, it's causing them to like become lost. But again, going back to this devil in reverse energy, complement with the guilt, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. I believe that there's a huge weight being lifted off of this situation. There are some revelations being made here. You both are coming to the realization that, listen, I know what's for me and I know what doesn't, in terms of whatever it is, and you're not necessarily wavering on that. You're staying strong and staying committed in it because it's been in this energy for so long that it's turning a good thing into a bad thing, or not necessarily a bad thing, because there's not necessarily either somebody's meant for you or they're not. But the longer you prolong the what's not meant for you, you keep yourself from what is, and the longer you stay in what is and you operate in that, you protect yourself from what isn't. So instead, you can call it what it is, but um I think that the guilt here, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. I believe that you both are coming to a point where you're realizing, okay, listen, I know I have the power to alchemize. I have a very flexible, adaptable way to me, but there is a line to it. There is a limit to it. And I have to honor that. Whereas your partner is like, okay, listen, I'm in this tower. I'm being stuck but I'm being chained by myself to this tower, and it's up to me to lift it off, whether I'm going to or not. Whether your partner is going to or not is really up to them. Tarot doesn't necessarily dictate what you should or shouldn't do. However, I do feel like they do have moments where they may be like, okay, they may say like, okay, this isn't good for me, and still continue to operate in it. But that guilt is slowly but surely being taken off of them as well. Now with this advice card representing your with this high priestess card representing your advice, I believe that as with the high priestess, the message is to go within and don't jump the gun. Make sure you know what it is that you're saying. Make sure you know what it is that you're doing before you act on it. Because whether anything is good or bad in this life, or whether anything goes a certain way or not in this life, you may not have control over the bigger picture, but those tiny intricate details on what it is, what you say, what you do, and how you act, they're all on you. And I believe that if you were to just surrender and get to the root of the problem here, whether that is a root that, because I'm looking at this tree, trees are so old, and so they have like those spirals that tell a story in their roots. It's just so much growth in life to them. They have the ability to live for hundreds and hundreds of years, just like our experiences and our past and our traumas and our hurt has the ability to sit with us. So I believe that getting to the root of the problem and surrendering to what doesn't, like, and it's interesting to me because you have, your current energy is the devil in reverse, which is like the devil's lower level energy, but your advice is sky dancer, surrender. There's a butterfly here, it's a cocoon. There's so much massive transformation that needs to be brought to life here. I'm not sure if this is a sun or a moon, but regardless of what it is, it's yellow. It's solar plexus type energy, even orange sacral energy. So if this is dealing with your confidence, if this is dealing with any even sexual experiences, any trauma, any any anything, whether this is outside the relationship or it needs to be dealt with in order to really tap into your intuition, because it seems to be clouded right now on both ends. Just as a collective energy in the relationship, there seems to be some muddledness that needs to be cleared out. But let me go ahead and read your star codes. Astro Oracle, Imam Coli, I believe it says. I could be so wrong about that, but I tried. Um, the It says, imagine your spine extends down into the earth like a taproot, the strong central root under a tree, through the earth to a point on the sun's path below. Latin for bottom of the sky, the Imam Coli or IC points to the memories and experiences that fed your first roots, your early home life, your family's traditions, and your biological and emotional heritage. The challenge here is that unconscious patterns from your personal history may underlie the situation and need excavation. The gift here is to build roots of your own. Feel your spine extend and like a deep taproot of a tree into the ground. Feel the strength of the earth pulsing up through you, holding you strong through any storm. So yes, that goes back to what I was saying about the childhood and just figuring out where your roots lie. Like, for example, if this seems more so geared towards your partner's energy with these wands and just, I mean, it's just the castle, just the rootedness of it. Like, it just seems as though they need to deal with maybe some childhood trauma, maybe some past relationship wounds, family issues, or it could be anything. This is a general reading, so it fits everyone differently. However, there's something here that is blocking your partner's energy from meeting you where you are at in this enlightened space, and you're willing to tap into your emotions and feel the uncomfortable things and go. Like, the ocean is very deep. It's very deep and it's unknown. We don't even know all of it. Like, there's so much tied to the ocean and just water in general. It's a very untamed energy. So I think that even on the surface, you could see water like look super smooth on the surface, but underneath it's going crazy. So I think that's very commendable of you to actually to not be fearful to go into that. But it seems as though your partner seems to be having some reservations, and they kind of want to stay stuck in their tower, or safe in their tower, not stuck. Essentially it is stuck, but like just for the purpose of, like, I know that the way people operate, some people do choose their ways of being, but I do think that at the same time we are brought, and we have other people brought into our lives as an example, or as a light, like you said, like I said in the beginning. You're such a light. You have so much to offer, and I do believe you're a very helpful and aligned and enlightened individual. However, you have to recognize when something is taking from you too much too. So, and that's not necessarily say you have to break up with your person. It's just to say you need to set a little more boundaries when it comes to that, because you may be like an overgiver in a sense too, where you're like, but that may be due to something you've dealt with in your childhood, or through relationships in your past too. You may have gotten into this point where you can balance and deal with different types of people and go that distance, but you still have this wagey where you're like, okay, I'll give a little. And there's nothing wrong with that, because some people need that little extra, but just don't do yourself a disservice in doing so. And then with Sky Dancer, Surrender being your Shaman's Dream Oracle, represented by the number 48, it says, when a Sky Dancer appears, she is inviting you to welcome the deepest power of the feminine into your life. You have already overanalyzed your situation to exhaustion. Now is the time to invite the sacred feminine, the wisdom within your heart, no matter your gender, to guide you to success. If you have become earthbound, plotting and planning and praying for change, cease and desist. Break the habit of being yourself, of repeating the same behavior and hoping for a different outcome. Stop trying to figure it all out and stop overthinking it. Surrender. The Sky Dancers are heralding the arrival of a new relationship with yourself, in your work, or in your love life. Do not assume that this person or opportunity will rescue you. The only way to liberation is to kiss the ground goodbye and take flight, to rise above the fray and the drama of the struggling, arguing mind. Dance in the sky and view the madness below. By simply witnessing the actors and the human comedy unfolding on the ground, you are transforming it. As you observe the drama, you unleash the power of the sacred feminine that allows for resolution. The sky dancers know the maps of heaven and the ways to the holiest and most sacred spaces on earth. They come to help you with your current life and, even more important, to guide you to the realization of your own divinity. So sky dancers remind me of, like, the way they're wording it. They just remind me of angels, of God, of the divine, of spirit, whatever it is you want to call God. I feel like what needs to happen here is that when you, the both of you too, because the sky dancers are in the sky where all of this is on the ground. You're on the ground. The water is deeper than the ground. The Seven of Wands. There's just a lot of groundedness here, and there's nothing wrong with being grounded, but that's when you kind of forget about the fact that there are other realms and other entities and energies that love us, and they're so giving and so loving to us, and we kind of forget about them in the midst of this defensiveness. And I think that it's important for both of you, maybe more so your partner, to stop trying to control so many aspects of their life, and leave some to the imagination, or leave some to another source. Like, think of it, for example, like, say this is a God ordained relationship. And say God says, okay, that these two are to come together, but then you're doing so much work when it comes to how to keep it together that God can't even come through. Your spirit guides, your angels can't come through and help you out because you're so busy thinking that you know how to fix it, you know what to do. And I think that surrendering and knowing that we're all just little children out here. I mean, we're adults, yes, but we're just out here trying to make it and figure it out. And the more you put in your hands, the more power you put in your hands that's not supposed to be, the more overwhelmed and, like, off kilter you'll feel when it comes to the relationship, because you're taking on too much when you're really supposed to be letting God take care of it. So I think it's best to just remain still and be quiet in some moments and just sit still. Don't feel like you have to do anything. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be still and just leave it up to God. It's really okay to do that sometimes. Most times, all the time. When you don't get it, just, if you don't understand it, don't even try to. Not even don't try to, but don't try to force the understanding, is what I'm saying. It'll come. So, Pile One, thank you so much for being here. I pray this resonates with you. If it does, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments. And you can book me for a personal session if you'd like at www.theangelicmuse.com. All my links will be down below, as well as my Instagram at theangelicmuse if you want to connect with me over there as well. And then once again, I do thank you all for being here, and I wish you a great day or night. Hey, Pal 2. So if you chose the Jade Egg for your crystal, here is your reading. So I'm going to start out by pulling out your tarot first, and then I'm going to set up the oracles along with the spread so that we can better understand them, or you can see them better. So the card to represent your energy is the Death card. The card representing your partner's energy is the Ace of Cups. The card representing the energy of the relationship currently is the Three of Wands. And then the advice card you have is the High Priestess. So I'm going to go ahead and pull your Lenormands and your oracles too to go along with the reading. So representing your energy, or to complement your energy, we have the Park, represented by the number 20. Representing or complementing your partner's energy, we have the Birds, represented by the number 12. Now, I pulled a lesson card for you all that will complement the energy of the relationship. You have Surrender. I can release my need to control. And then to complement the advice energy, we had solar flares with the activate, represented by the number 17, and then fool's embrace, transmuting pain, represented by the number 22. There seems to be a lot of twos in this reading. I see 20, 12, 2, and 2, 2. That actually goes into 222, which I think is great for the energy of the relationship overall. But let me just get into it. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to look at you guys, this energy, you and your partners. With you having the death card as your current energy, I feel like right now, and then the part to complement it, I feel like right now what you're going through is like a transformation that is outwardly exposed. That, or you want to, like, the transformation is happening, but with this park, the park in the Lenormand represents like the public outings, just affairs that are like more out there. It could represent proposals, marriage, and then with this Ace of Cups represented by the 12, I feel like there may be some like contrast here. You may actually be. This reminds me of Pile 2, although it's different. The advice card was both the High Priestess, so this may tie in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to, but if you were drawn to it, I do suggest going back to read it. To listen to it. But okay, so I feel like your partner definitely loves you. They have like this immense, intense love for you. But with this birds card here, I know that birds are very flighty, very fleeting, very like all over the place, and like they'll literally fly from one wire on the one light wire to the next, and we won't necessarily understand why, but there is a method to their madness too. So your partner could have that kind of energy where it's like you'll see them doing things and you won't necessarily understand why, and you don't know necessarily the direction that they're going in with it, but it does all make sense in the end. But you're more like, I like needing to know, like you more stable, more sure energy here. It's interesting to me because, like, if I had to put this into a general way, I'd say your energy is maybe waiting for their energy to, you're waiting for them to propose or make something official, but they're kind of giving you the runaround, or they're not even the runaround, but you're just not sure because of the way in which they operate in the first place. But it draws you to them. You want to be with them. You love them. But it's giving me a feeling that you're like at, not your wits end, but you're like at a point where you're like, listen, this has to happen or it's not going to happen at all because it doesn't make sense to me, and I need to understand this transformation, this death, this, because you're willing, it's like you want to take that next step with them and they want to take it with you too. But they're more so in the relationship in its current entity, where you're looking more towards the future. Um, and then it's interesting though, because with this 3 of Wands representing the current energy, it's kind of like you have to wait. You both have made the decision to move forward with something, but there is a surrendering that needs to be done in order for it to happen. So, for example, say you both are committed in this relationship, and you know you want to go to the end, you want to make it, you want to get married, you want to have kids, you want to build this life, but you're doing so much of you're trying so hard to keep up with the intricate details of it, and you're not necessarily like making room for surprise because you're trying so hard to plan it. But in the end, what it's doing is it's leaving you waiting here while you're watching the rest of the world or watching everyone else expand, and you're just kind of waiting your turn. But if you were to just release and let go of the thought or the act of it happening, or whatever this end result is, you'd be able to get further along in your progress if you were to do that, is what I'm feeling here. And with this High Priestess, being your advice card. Um, the high priestess, she knows herself. You don't have to be male or female, like you don't necessarily have to be one or the other, but she is a woman, so she knows herself. She's very sure of herself. She understands that the way life works. She's done the work. She's studied, and in order to get behind this veil, you have to have done just the amount of work as her or more. And I think that with these two energies surrounding it, this solar flares and this fool's embrace, just by the cards alone, they're very colorful, very vibrant, very like rainbow, and just loud and just fun. But then with the high priestess, this is such a calm, quiet nature. She's sure, doesn't need all this because she knows. So with that, I'd say this relationship has a lot of depth to it. Has a lot of it seems very lively and just full of emotion, and just the redness in here alone, and the fact that you all have to surrender the red and the orange that's here. I see there's a lot of energy in that waiting period that wants to get out, and it wants to expand essentially, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you two, you have a great dynamic going, and you don't want to mess that up with the outer workings when the inner is what needs to be looked at right now. I think that taking a step back outside of the details of it and just kind of looking at your person for who they are, and them looking at you for who you are, take away all of the things that you do, like the fun activities and the places you go or the people you experience. Just focus on each other and know that, okay, listen, this is going to happen. We're going to make this happen. We want to do it. We're committed, and that's literally all you need. You don't need anything else to go along with that. It does help as far as like, eventually in time you're not going to sit around and wait for a long period of time just for nothing to happen. Nobody wants that for themselves. But at the same time, I think that you're kind of forgetting the fact that this fire, this beautiful, like lively color is what brought you there, but it's not necessarily the person brought you there as well. That's not necessarily what you want to focus on. You want to focus on your person and not like a ring or a house or whatever, just because that takes away from your person. It's like, are you there for them or are you there for the other thing? So, but I'm going to go ahead and read your Astro Oracle and your Shaman's Dream Oracle. Your Astro says solar flares activate, and it reads, the sun's surface is always roiling. A flare can flash brightly on the surface or become a coronal mass ejection many times the size of the Earth that shoots out charged particles. When these particles head toward Earth, not only are our electronics disrupted, but also our politics heat up as we question old systems and grow hungry for new answers. The volume turns up on all astrological activity. High peaks of solar activity were recorded around the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and during the mid-1960s. Times when people fought the status quo and sought revolutionary change. The challenge here says that tempers flare along with the sun. You can scorch yourself with too much passionate action and not enough emotional sensitivity if you are not mindful. And then the gift here is that the sun is sending extra voltage and inspiration your way, so use it wisely. Feel the heat in the situation, the passion in the people involved, then balance that fire by adding water's compassion, the thoughtfulness of air, and the logistics of earth to turn that inspiration into reality. So again, going back to this fiery energy here with waiting, it's interesting they say to incorporate the other elements like water, air, and earth into it. Maybe for some of you, you do need to get outside in nature and just ground yourself. But for others of you, I'm looking at it like this. The red fiery energy in this waiting period, I think that if you just focus on your partner has so much love here. Like, and I understand the Ace of Cups can be overbearing at times too, depending on how you look at it. You know, it can be a lot of love to the point where someone doesn't know what to do with it. But in this energy, it just seems like maybe with them being so fleeting, that may be the case at times where you're just like, if you love me, then where's this? Where's the rest? You know, but it'll come. They just have a different way of showing it in comparison to you, where you're more like practical. They may be more like random. So I think it's important, like I said, to go back to your person, know who your person is, and not the what it is that you want. Like if you want, you know, this end goal to be met, that's fine, you know, but don't focus on that so much, because you'll miss out on so much of your partner while you're waiting for that moment to happen. There's so much that can be learned here. There's so much that can be done to enhance or grow the relationship. And it seems as though like it's not necessarily being missed, but it's kind of being done, and then like, okay, now what? You know, like, and that's not necessarily how you want to operate. So let me go ahead and read your Shaman's Dream Oracle that says Fool's Embrace, Transmuting Pain, and it's represented by the 22. And again, I do love the way that the way the reading pans out, and that's 222. Like that kind of just leaves the reading to go. Like you're in the right place at the right time. It's balanced. Everything is as it should be. You know, I definitely think that's pretty cool the way that happened. But Fool's Embrace says transmuting pain, allowing life to love you, in the experience of both land. And both land would be that gray area there, and within the High Priestess energy. The pain of life is sometimes unbearable. When we're in it, we think that pain, that loss, that betrayal will always be woven through our continuity of existence. We're kept hostage by the way we identify with the pain and what we make it to mean. If we let it, it becomes etched into us like a tattoo. No matter where on the spectrum of pain you find yourself now, whether it be mild disappointment or searing loss, it's time to make peace with it. Befriend it rather than resisting it, running from it, or judging it as bad or unfair or hostile. Can you see the gift that is here? Surrender to the Fool's Embrace, allowing the truth to envelope you in love and compassion. What if you can learn something amazing from this? What is truly yours will not pass you by. Something better and perfect for you is waiting elsewhere. If you could come to terms with the liberation and freedom inherent in loss, your broken heart might open you up to a greater sense of humanity and compassion. As in the narrative of tarot, the Fool will be at the beginning of your life's adventure and at the end when you've integrated all the wisdom you've accumulated along the journey. He will never let you down or lie to you. He will, however, teach you how to revel in both the beauty and the desperation of life. Both / and, this and that will always be true. Remember, the pearl can't be created without the gritty sand causing discomfort and acting as a catalyst in the oyster. Your pearl is discovered in radical acceptance that everything has value. All is well now and will be. Remember that today as you feel the Fool's Embrace. So, yes, that just goes back to what I was saying about this Three of Wands energy and the waiting period. You know, you're the Fool in every new experience you have. So in this waiting period, you're the Fool. When you get out of the waiting period and you hit the next step, you'll still be the Fool. And you'll just be experimenting, and you'll just be leaping into things and going for it. But you're not knowing what's next. So I think that it's important to know that before you got into this relationship, you were the Fool. And so was your partner. But you both made the conscious decision to work towards it, to see what could come of it. And I think that now you're at a point where you know what could come of it, and you're just kind of waiting for it. But you're not really taking advantage of what's in between in that waiting period. I think it's important to honor the Fool in you, the curiousness in you, and the willingness to do it anyway. Don't allow the fear of the unknown or what's to come, or the fact that you may not know it all. Don't allow that to stop you from experiencing such an amazing and intense and beautiful love, because it's very rare that we come across someone that actually has the best interest for us at heart, and to actually consider it is a gift. So I think it's very important for you as a person, or in a relationship with your partner, to like I said, not focus so much on the color or the end game or the result. And it may be causing some form of like some wires to get crossed that could be contributing to this confusion when it comes to the flightiness or the intention behind why it is they're doing it the way they're doing. I think maybe with some simple conversation, if you open up the conversation, maybe there's some conversation that needs to be had in this waiting period. Like, not necessarily conversations on what are we doing, but how can we do this better? What am I not recognizing that I need to? How could I benefit this relationship for you and myself better? I think those are questions that you both should be asking each other and yourself, and making sure that the answers to them are what aligns with you. And I don't mean that in a way where it's comfortable for you, but in a way that you can do it, because every experience throughout relationships is not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be black and white. It'll be gray, and it'll be up to you to determine whether or not you're going to move forward with it or not, for one, and how you're going to move forward with it or not, for one. But I believe that if there are two willing people with this much energy, this much love, and this much commitment and growth to them, there are many things that you will go through, but not too many that you won't get through. So I definitely believe that there's there's optimism here, and it's not necessarily a relationship that's on the breaks of the end. It's just in a confusing stage, and that's normal. It's growing pains, and it happens to the best of us. So I just think it's important to stay committed to yourself, and if you choose to stay committed to your partner, but just to stay committed to your answer is important. But yes, how to. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I pray that this reading resonated with you. If it did, please let me know down in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. You can also book a personal session with me at my website, www.theangelicmuse.com. And you can also connect with me on Instagram if you want, over there at theangelicmuse. But other than that, I pray you enjoy the rest of your day or night. And once again, I thank you so much for watching. Hey, Pal 3. So if you chose the Angel Aura Quartz, here is your reading. So I'm going to start out by laying out your tarot first, but then I'm going to lay your Oracle and Lenormand cards out just to have a better view of the spread. I know I usually just stick to the tarot first, but it'll work better that way. So your first card representing your energy, we have the Justice card. Representing your partner's energy, we have the World in reverse. Representing the current energy of the relationship, we have the Five of Cups. And then representing the advice for the relationship at this current time, we have the King of Pentacles. So moving into your Lenormand and Oracle, representing your energy, we have the Scythe, represented by the number 10 to complement your energy. Complementing your partner's energy is the Ship, represented by the number 3. I did pull a lesson card for each pile that would complement the energy of it. And you have the Lesson of Death. I am learning that endings are merely beginnings. And then to complement your advice card, we have the Moon card with Perception for your solar, your Starcodes Astro Oracle, and then Skywriting the Fates for your Shaman Dream Oracle. So I want to start out with you guys, is you and your partner's energy up at the top here. So going to your energy first, I see you have the Justice card and the Scythe to complement you. And I realize that in both of these cards, there's some sort of weapon that is sharp. It cuts, and I mean, not just anyone would handle these two things. You know, you have to know what you're doing. So I do see that you may be experienced when it comes to, like, you may be in your head a lot, and you may be very experienced when it comes to the mental side of yourself, more than any other, like the emotional or physical or whatever. And that may be to a fault, only because it's so much of it here. The Justice card is about balance, it's about fairness, it's about equality and finding the solution, and that is equal for all. It's not necessarily the nicest card. It's more so like just get shit done. Like, I'm not playing. I'm getting the energy like you don't play. Like and you're quick to cut somebody off. These are both cutting weapons, and I feel like you may cut people off before you actually like, just as maybe a safety mechanism. Like, you're like, I just want to do away with it all. You may cut things off too. It doesn't necessarily have to be people, but I feel like you may be the type to kind of isolate yourself or just cut it when you're done with it, just so that you don't have to deal with it anymore. But the thing with the scythe is that, like, I mean, yes, you need it to eat, like to when you're in a field and you're farming, and you need to cut away whatever it is, the wheat or whatever it is that you need to eat. But you can't cut away too much. You know, you can overcut. And I feel like that may be what's being done here. Because your partner's energy, they have the World card in reverse. The World card represents like completion and completing a lesson and ending a cycle, but they seem to be at like a halt here, where they're like, I don't know what to do now. Like, they're at a standstill. And with this ship card here, I don't know, I'm hearing that ship has sailed. Like, that ship has sailed. So if there's an issue or something that is being held on to, that you're like harboring in your mind mentally, to the point where you're just like, I just want to do away with the entire relationship or the entire like, you're just like instead of actually looking for the problem, you just want to, or for a solution to the problem, you just want to get rid of it. That's not really meshing well with your partner's energy, because okay, with ships, they go from one destination to the next. It's not really the shortest trip, so they may be more inclined to toughing it out, or maybe more equipped to dealing with the challenges that come with a relationship. Even with the world card's person here, the woman here, she has 2 wands, so she's been through, like, there's not like she hasn't experienced anything in life. And your partner doesn't have to be female. I'm just saying it in reference to the card. Your partner doesn't necessarily have to be female, but at the same time, they have the qualities of both. Like, they're able to operate in both their masculine and their feminine energy, in resolve issues, and may have a easier nature when it comes to these problems, and have a better way of flowing through them. And whereas you're just kind of like, I just don't want to deal with it at all. They're more like prepared to deal with it, and they're in this energy where they're not sure of how to moving forward. Not that they don't want to move forward with you, but they're just not sure of how to, because the way that they're equipped to dealing with things is more like long term, or more like, okay, there may be a bump, or I'm thinking about the Titanic, with the icebergs, and you can maneuver around the icebergs, and in not necessarily the Titanic, but just a ship in general, or like a cruise, you have to maneuver around certain things in the water that you don't necessarily see until you come up on them, or they may be under the surface, and your partner is equipped to deal with those things. That's just the energy I'm getting here. So with the current energy of the relationship being the Five of Cups being complemented by the Death, I'm learning that endings are merely beginnings. I feel like one or both of you is stuck in this smaller aspect of the relationship. It may be a very minor thing. I mean, it doesn't necessarily be to the person, but in the grand scheme of the relationship and the aspects that are involved, this may be something that's more minute here. And or it could be like a thought process, or just a feeling that you had towards something, and you're maybe realizing that it's not all that bad, or it's not all of what I made it out to be. If you're not, then that is the lesson to be learned here, that whatever phase of the relationship you're in now, whether it be like, you were used to living a certain way, or responding a certain way to something, or your partner responding, or you guys having a routine set in some way, and for some reason it's being missed. Whereas there's so much more that could come from letting go of that thing that you both had. Because at the end of the day, you still have each other. You still have the relationship. There's just dynamics and aspects to it that have to fall in order for new ones to be created. You want to eventually cross this bridge here in order to see what else is out there on this side. Like, you don't, not even that, but you want to turn around first. Because if you turn around and you see, like, if you actually open your mind and your perspective and your heart to the fact that there could be something other than what it already was, or what it already, is, then maybe that will propel you into a different state or of being when it comes to the relationship. You may not feel as inclined to cut things off, or may not be as inclined, because I mean, this doesn't seem like it's the most comfortable feeling or energy to be in with your partner. But I feel like if you lean more in towards the more evolved, like, take some notes out of their book maybe when it comes to dealing with things long term, or being able to uh, operate and still move forward in the midst of confrontation or arguments or whatever. I think that if you were to just kind of take a couple notes from their book, and they could definitely benefit from you in some way. I feel like you both partners in a relationship can benefit from each other, and we do essentially mirror our partners. But at the same time, in this particular situation, I think that you leaning more into the aspects of forgiveness, or the aspects of forward movement, like just moving into that, would be better for you, as opposed to just cutting something off and no longer moving forward with it at all. I hope this is making sense, because let me just move forward. So with your King of Pentacles energy here as your advice, King of Pentacles as a person, and is grounded, is stable, is sure, practical, pragmatic, abundant, blessed, sure, confident, stable, fruitful. Like, I'm seeing all of these qualities within the King of Pentacles, and these are qualities that you want to keep at the forefront of your being, your mind, whatever the case may be. Especially when it comes to like this scythe energy. Like, I know it takes a while to farm. I'm not a farmer, but I know it takes a while to grow things. And as with anything, we don't even have to take it in terms of food or anything, just in terms of a relationship. We get to a relationship and we don't like something, and we automatically want to just get rid of it. But there's so many different things. Like, when we work towards something and you build up so much momentum with it, and you build this life in this way with it, and or this person in this case, But this goes for anything in life, because I feel like we're so quick to just trash things and discard them because they're of no use to us, when the reality of it, there is all of the use to us. We just don't see it because we're paying attention to the wrong things when it comes to the problem. And we're not accepting the fact that regardless of whether we understand it or not, it does make sense. Our partners aren't there to coddle us or be our puppets. They're going to have these ways to them that we don't necessarily always understand, but we still align with. And I think it's important to really, even with this moon perception, maybe you're not paying attention to the moon sign is what we really like, how we come off in our personal or intimate relationships. So maybe looking into your moon sign a little deeper will help you to really understand yourself better, and in turn be able to move forward in the relationship, so that you and your partner can have a sense of direction, some sense of direction, because it seems like your sense of direction is just to be done and theirs is just like, I don't know. So let me go ahead and read your Starcodes, Astro, and your Shaman's Dream Oracle cards, just to piggyback off the King of Pentacles energy. So the moon says perception. The moon, ruler of Cancer, speaks of the deep inner river of emotions, what motivates you, how you experience and express your feelings, and how you nurture and need nurturance. In your astrological chart, the moon is as important as the sun, even though it's much smaller. By a coincidence of relative size and distance, from our earthly perspective, the sun and the moon, our symbols of consciousness and unconsciousness, appear to be the same size, and this proportion makes eclipses possible. The moon cycles through the zodiac in 27.5 days, changing signs every 2 days and coloring our moods, habits, and behaviors. The challenge here is to look to feelings rather than logic to move this situation forward. Notice any strange responses to anxiety, touchy personal defenses, nepotism, xenophobia, subjectivity, or insecurity, either in your motivation or in those around you. Tend to the fear that lies underneath these behaviors. The gift here is that you are one with the ebb and flow. Watch what sign the moon occupies each day and let the moon teach you about its phases. Align yourself with those tides and make your life easier. So yes, going back to what I was saying, look into your moon sign, because you're just going based off a lot of logic here, and it's leaving your partner a bit confused, because they didn't necessarily prepare for that. And that's not slighting. This isn't a slight to you. We all get caught up in our minds. We start to really put the pressure on. This could be outward pressure that's seeping into the relationship that you're just super unaware of. So I think that really getting in touch with your moon sign and the way you react intimately, because it's so much different with your partner as it would be to a stranger or someone. And I think that's very important to keep in mind. And to, most times feelings get in the way, but I think in this case, logic is. We lean into feelings a lot sometimes, like too much to the point where it kind of stifles us from being logical. But with you seem to be doing the opposite, where you're just so logical. You're so like, oh, this or that, black and white, cut it if it's not working. And it's like your partner kind of, it leaves them like, okay, well, shit, cut it. Okay, cut it. Okay, what you and it's like, it's a bit confusing. It can be a bit overwhelming, but I think it's important, even here with the fates. I haven't read this card yet, but just know that everything in life is fated. It's meant to be, and the way that it plays out is, even up to now, anything that's happened in the past is supposed to be that way because it led you here. And now moving forward, it's up to you to deal with it how you should, what aligns better, what feels better, and it doesn't pull you away from your true nature or your true being. So skywriting the fates is represented by the number 49, and it reads, that which we cannot change in non-judgment. It says, it is written in the sky that you have a destiny. You are being invited to explore certain aspects of life unique to you and you alone. That does not mean that your path will be easy, paved with gold, and littered with diamonds. Nor does this predict that your journey will be treacherous. It is just your path, with parts that cannot be changed and must be radically accepted as they are. In this way, whatever you are faced with, every single aspect of your life, is perfect in its imperfection. Not good or bad, neither inflow nor blocked, this nor that. See your life as a series of opportunities rather than an obstacle course. Once you master the skill of non-judgment, you open to the power of curiosity, unencumbered by the burdens of yesterday's fear, as you look ahead into the potential of the future. Yes, you still need to be brave. Right now, you are facing a critical moment in time with an opportunity to meet your fate, a choice point where you expand your influence and your capacity for abundance, love, and purposeful action. Now is the moment to leap into it, whether it be a heart condition or heart condition. I'm sorry. Whether it be a heart connection, a call to creativity, or a new identity in your work or another area of life, with all your heart and soul. Your success is surely written in the stars. In order to bring your destiny to fruition, you must jump into the adventure with both feet and do your part. So yes, I think that going back to this justice card, I don't know how this is going to sound with me saying it, but you're not a judge. You're not a judge. You don't have to make the verdict. You're not a warden. You're not, especially not in a relationship. And again, this is no slight to you because we've all been there before, where we get like caught up and we want things a certain way, but you cannot try to control. You will run yourself crazy trying to control every aspect of it. Literally, sometimes you got to leave it up to God. Sometimes you have to leave it up to fate because it will happen for you if it's meant to, and if it's not, then it won't. And there's such a blessing in knowing that you're okay regardless of where you're at in life. I think that we don't pay enough attention to the fact that we are going to be good regardless of what happens. It may not feel good, it may have some uncomfortable parts to it, this life, but at the end of the day, logic and emotion are to be balanced and not overused or abused in a way to where it stifles or stops you or hinders you from being your greatest and operating at your greatest self, especially when it comes to love. Because love in itself is just a frequency. It's not a person or a thing. So I think it's important to not stay so stuck and rigid when it comes to how it is shown. So, Pile 3, I thank you so much for being here, and I pray that this reading resonates with you. If it does, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below. If you'd like to book a personal session with me, you can do so at www.theangelicmuse.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at theangelicmuse if you'd like to connect with me over there. And I once again, I pray you all enjoyed this reading, and I pray you're back for more.